The ultra-liberal Bill Maher is now admitting that the impeachment circus surrounding President Trump was a colossal mistake. And as Bruce Willis said in Die Hard, Bill, welcome to the party, pal. We're going to look at Bill Maher's sudden dose of reality and why he's absolutely right. The impeachment circus has made Trump stronger and bolder than ever. You're going to absolutely love it. Greetings, everyone. Dr. Steve here. Awesome to be with you as always. If this is your first time here on this channel, we post 2 videos a day analyzing current events, analyze some super awesome conservative trends so you can live in the present in light of even better things to come. So if you haven't already done so, you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. It'd be an absolute privilege to have you as a regular part of this channel, where we each and every single day we have the honor of celebrating together the inevitable collapse of left-wing globalism and the unstoppable rise of a new conservative age. Also, for everyone, before we do anything else, make sure to click on that link below and head on over to my special website for my Patriot food supply. With all the quarantines that are being enforced and with all those pictures of empty shelves that we're seeing, perhaps you saw them firsthand as a result of this pandemic, it's such a relief to know that we have such good friends over at my Patriot food supply. Gang, they're simply the best. And there's frankly never been a better time to stock up on emergency food supply than right now. And no one makes that more ridiculously easy and affordable as my Patriot food supply. Their food kits last up to 25 years in storage. They include breakfast, lunches, and dinners. And best of all, they've got a guarantee policy that will knock your socks off. And if you act now, you could save $100 off a full 4-week emergency food supply when you click on the link below to my special website. You heard that right, $100 off. So don't wait. Click on that link below. Save $100 off your very own 4-week emergency food supply today. All right, gang, let's dive right in here. The ultra-liberal Bill Maher is having second thoughts on Trump's impeachment fiasco several months back. He was talking with Michael Moore, interviewing Moore, and they were both having this ridiculous, anti-Trump rant fest. They're not my president schmooze fest. And all of a sudden, Maher comes out and says that the whole impeachment fiasco was, in his words, a horrible thing. And if he knew what he knows now, he wouldn't do it. The whole thing was one big, massive mistake. And his argument in the midst of Moore's assertions that Trump was threatening and bullying Mueller and he threatened James Comey and all that sort of stuff, which of course is hilarious. I mean, these two, Maher and Moore, seem to love the deep state. They love the swamp. But regardless, Bill Maher was insistent. The impeachment was a giant mistake. And for Maher, it was a mistake because it only ended up emboldening Trump. And he cited Trump firing all these inspector generals, which both, again, Moore and Maher see as Trump's war on accountability. They think the deep state is good, okay? Inspector generals, unfortunately for them, have been radically politicized in this environment of the swamp. In fact, as I understand it, it was an inspector general that passed on the whistleblowers' accusations to government officials that ended up blowing up into this whole impeachment fiasco. I mean, this last State Department inspector general that just got fired from the State Department, he was drawing scrutiny on Secretary of State Mike Pompeo's dog, for heaven's sake. So there's Michael Moore and Bill Maher wallowing over Trump, dismantling the deep state. And Maher admits now that the impeachment circus only ended up emboldening Trump, which of course is bad for everything left-wing and liberal and swampy and the like. Now, I think we need to recognize here that Bill Maher, even though he's an ultra-liberal, Bill Maher is one of the few honest ones out there. At least he seems to have a genuine moment of honesty here and there, and he's willing to tell the truth. He's willing to tell the truth about the growing number of Karens that are increasingly defining the Democrat Party. He's willing to call out the Clintons as ridiculous and political poison. He's willing to call out Ilhan Omar and Ocasio-Cortez as absurd, and he seems to be coming to his senses over the whole impeachment disaster several months back. And he does certainly admit that it was a disaster. It's unfortunate that it took him this long to conclude that. Now, we here on this channel did several videos during the whole impeachment circus that made the sustained argument that impeachment was only going to strengthen Trump and weaken the Democrats. In fact, our very first video on all of this, when Nancy Pelosi first stuttered out her announcement that they would be impeaching the president, our very first video was entitled, "Impeachment Will Destroy the Democrats." Okay, we knew from the very first day this was all going to blow up in the Democrats' faces. In other words, we knew that the polls would end up showing two growing trends, that there would eventually be a decreasing amount of support towards the Democrats in their push to impeach Trump on the one hand, and we would be seeing an increase in approval and support for President Trump on the other. Those are the trends that we predicted. And the reason for that was rather simple. The huge risk that the Democrats were taking was that they would increasingly appear to be the very Washington establishment actively attempting to destroy a populist leader who campaigned against that establishment, right? That's why we predicted this would end up blowing up their faces and only increasing Trump's support. The Democrats risked appearing to look more and more like a Washington establishment trying to destroy a president who campaigned on ending the corruption of that establishment. In so doing, they thereby hardened and solidified Trump's political base that elected him in 2016. Trump was elected to drain the swamp, and what did we see? What was the swamp trying to do to him? They were trying to impeach him, the man who's trying to drain them. And so the logic here is that the more the Democrats attempted to thwart and sabotage Trump, the more they end up legitimizing his 2016 campaign. That was the major risk that the Democrats took going into that impeachment. And trying to impeach Trump, they would only end up making him stronger. And that they only further verified and confirmed the legitimacy of his campaign. And so we predicted that we would see two trends coming out of all of this, okay? The first trend would be a decrease in support for the Democrats and their impeachment on the one hand, and an increase in support of President Trump on the other. And those two trends, those two trajectories would put a massive amount of pressure on the Democrats, and most especially the Democratic presidential candidates, in effect causing the party to eventually crack up. Okay, so that was the overall argument that we put forward. And what have we seen? We've seen the Democratic Party nominate perhaps the single weakest candidate in recent memory. I mean, Biden makes Romney look strong by comparison. And what did we see at the State of the Union, right? You remember that? The last State of the Union with Nancy the Ripper Pelosi, right? Nancy tore loser Pelosi. Oh, we could go on, right? She cracked. She had a total and complete meltdown on national television when she started tearing up a speech that included the families of victims of an illegal immigrant murderer and a baby who survived after being born prematurely, and a fourth grader who was now going to be able to go to the school of her choice through a grant. She tore up a speech that 80% of the nation supported and adored. I mean, gang, you just have to let this stuff hit you. She cracked. She utterly cracked up, and she's still cracking up. What we predicted has happened, and I'll say that I think things are even worse than I thought they would be. I didn't see a Democrat defecting over to the GOP, but of course that happened with Jeff Van Drew of New Jersey. And we also predicted that the mainstream Marxist media, they wouldn't be able to save the Democrats like they've been able to in years past. They wouldn't be able to save the Democrats precisely because no one's watching the Marxist media anymore, okay? And we have to understand just how much the mainstream media has actually imploded in popularity. There was a poll released a couple of months back that found that only about 7% of the population actually had genuine confidence in the Marxist media. 7-8%. I mean, Breitbart is getting more hits than most of these mainstream media outlets today, okay? So we knew the media wouldn't be able to salvage the Democrats' loser image. And the elections that have taken place since the impeachment over the last couple of weeks is bearing this out, okay? Just a couple of weeks back, again, we've done videos on this, Republican Mike Garcia flipped a Democrat-held seat in California's 25th district, just outside of LA, a district that voted for Hillary by 7 points in 2016. It was the first time since 1998 that the GOP successfully flipped a congressional seat in California from Democrat to Republican. And not only did Garcia win, but he won by he won by double digits, beating his Democratic opponent by 12 points. In the other special election, Wisconsin, the Trump-backed candidate Tom Tiffany crushed his Democrat opponent by a decisive 14 points. On the same day, the Republicans swept all 3 special elections for the state house in Pennsylvania. And earlier this week, the Republicans flipped 2 Virginia city councils. The elections since the impeachment have borne out that the impeachment has made the Democrats incredibly weak. It was a rotten idea. And Trump, as it turns out, has come out stronger than ever. Now, before you go, you will definitely want to check out my latest video on Biden's latest ridiculous flub. I'm sure you all know it by now. If you don't know it, you ain't black. We'll go over such an absurd comment and how, again, it only weakens the Democrats and ends up strengthening President Trump. You're going to absolutely love it. So click on the link and I'll see you over there. God bless.